From KNRS in Salt Lake City, Utah, this is the Glenn Beck program. Here for the Man in the Moon this week. It's Independence Week. What does independence mean? Let me tell you, I was at church yesterday, and I had quite a lesson to learn. Quite a lesson to learn. And I share it with you because I think we all have to learn this lesson. Yesterday, I had with me in my secure briefcase at my house, I had the original document, the predecessor for the Emancipation Proclamation from Harlan Crow. He's a collector of rare antiquities in Dallas, and he's like, hands it to me. He's like, okay, you're going to watch over this the whole time, right? And so I've had it with security the whole time. I had that. I had George Washington's compass. I had Joseph Smith's pocket watch, and I had Walt Disney's hand-colored prospectus, all in one suitcase, hoping that nothing would happen to the suitcase. If like we were in a car crash, I was going to throw the suitcase out the window. So I'm getting up, and I'm getting ready to go to church, and I think, bring the suitcase, because the Lincoln thing should be shared. And I immediately think, what kind of egomaniac are you? What, you're going to walk into church and say, you know, Bishop, you should let me talk a little bit and let me share a few things. And so I rejected it immediately. And then I thought about it again. And I thought, what? An egomaniac. I'm not going to say anything. I completely dismiss it. As I'm getting ready to walk out, that suitcase is there. Security is still at the house. That suitcase is there. And I look at it and I think, just put it in the car and lock it in the car. And I'm thinking, well, that's more ridiculous. It's safer here at the house. Why would it? So anyway, I reject it. I drive 25 minutes to church. I'm sitting in the pew. And the bishop said, we had one of our speakers back out this morning. And I've asked a couple of brothers to speak, but we're hoping that maybe there would be a surprise. I'll tell you in a minute. Just then, I get a hand on my back, and my friend who's there, who goes to this particular church, he said, "Glenn, actually, they're hoping that." The bishop was hoping.
You're the surprise.
I'm surprised. Because when he said that, I'm like, "Ooh, there's a celebrity here. I wonder who they're going to choose." He put his hand on my back, and I knew immediately. As soon as he said our speakers, I went, "Oh crap!" And I
had it with you.
I should have had it with me, and I leaned over to security and I said, "Can you go back and get the briefcase?" And he said, "I can't make it back in time, sir." And I said, "Can you call Mark and see if he can?" Couldn't get a hold of him. So, couldn't do it. And so I'm trying to remember, and I just write down, I just start writing a little speech. Well, somebody gets up before me and starts talking, and he fills the whole space. But here's what happened. He fills the space, and I point to Tanya. As he's saying the stuff, I point to Tanya, and I'm like, look what he's saying. I just wrote that down. I was going to say that. He said something else, and I point to Tanya, and I'm like, he just said, I was going to say that. He wrote that down. Everything that he was saying, I was going to cover. It ends up, I didn't speak. They ran out of time, so I didn't speak. I go home. I wrote a note to the bishop, and I said, I've learned an important lesson here of arrogance and obedience. And it's the opposite lesson I thought I was going to learn. I thought I was being arrogant by saying, no, I'm not going to bring it with me because who am I to say? I'm arrogant because my mind is not God's mind. I have no idea. I heard it twice. I actually heard it 3 times. Go put that in the car. And I didn't do it. Arrogance and obedience. And I told him, I said, would you set up a fireside because I will do the things that I was supposed to do today. And I will serve.
Too late by then.
And that's what he said. It's too late. Too late. You disobeyed God. He's going to destroy you.
Yeah.
So anyway, so here's the reason why I'm sharing this with you. I really believe we are entering times where, remember when I said when he says, stop, turn around, go the other way,
do it.
You're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
We're at that point. And let me give you a caveat to that. You have to exercise that muscle. I exercise that muscle a lot. I mean, I saw a quick tease on something that they're doing for the Man in the Moon, and they're interviewing Ben McPherson, who is the guy, he's the head of the American Dream Labs here. And it's funny. I thought it was funny, but he's describing what it's like to work with me. And he said, let's just say Glenn is some sort of idiot savant, and that's the way we're running this company. And he said he'll just meet people and say, I have a good feeling about you. I think we should work together.
Investors, get in line now.
I know. So he was, he's saying that, and what that is me exercising that prompting. When I have a good feeling about someone, when I feel like there's something here, and we've done this for years, we say, maybe it's this, maybe it's not, I don't know, maybe it was just there's something else here, or cross are supposed to cross paths for some reason, but let's explore that and see what that is. Here's the thing, however. I believe we're entering an emergency time. I believe we're headed for really tough times. And this is nothing new coming from me, but I believe we're headed for tough times. And just like your dad, if the house is on fire, your dad will say to you, go run and go get the neighbor. He doesn't want you to say, well, why? What is the neighbor going to do? Go get the neighbor. Dad knows what he's doing to put the fire out. The kids don't necessarily understand that. Dad has no time for us to hear it. Well, son, here's what I'm going to do. Go get the damn neighbor, is what Dad is saying. Go pick that up and put it in your car. But, Dad, why are we going to... They're not going to ask me to go pick it up and put it in your car. There's going to come a time when things make absolutely no sense to you at all. Do it. Because there is someone else that is depending on you doing it. And the other lesson is, he had somebody else deliver the message that he told me to deliver. There's somebody else. He's not going to be frustrated. Somebody else will do it. Don't be the one that dropped the ball. Don't be the one that Dad said, and you were like kicking rocks all the way going, Dad just doesn't know what is. Don't be that one. Do it. Because he's counting on you. He asked you first. Somebody asked me about Martin Luther King last week and said, Martin Luther King, well, he was a flatterer. Well, I don't know that. That's what people say about Martin Luther King. Let's just assume that it's true. How many people did he have to go through to get down to a philanderer? How many people said, no, I'm not going to pick that up? No, they'll kill me for that. No, I'm afraid. No. How many people did he have to go through before Martin Luther King, the guy who everybody says was a philanderer, before they got to him? And he was finally obedient enough to say, okay, I'll do it.
It doesn't discredit his work. It discredits the rest of humanity at the time.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
It discredits everybody else and not Martin Luther King. It exalts Martin Luther King. It discredits everyone else who claimed to be better than he was. That was my Sunday. That was my Sunday morning lesson. What a wake-up call and kick to the head that was.
So what I'm taking out of that is when you think of something that seems completely crazy and against what you should do, you should just immediately do it. That whatever it is, do it immediately and don't question it. So
I think there's a shoe to fall here.
It sounds like potentially dangerous advice. Make sure that you're being led by. I mean,
make sure that you have to exercise.
You're a connected person. I mean, you're very spiritually connected, and even you.
So are you.
This weekend,
but so are you.
We're wrong. You did not recognize it in time, and you resisted it. And you're like, I don't know if this is right.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you have to exercise this muscle because it's really hard. It's really hard. Look, God used to be really, really loud. When I first started on my God path, he was really loud. And he was like, dummy, this way. And I'm like, oh. And I could tell it wasn't me. But that's really rare. That doesn't happen all the time. That started getting quiet. And I went to one of the guys who's one of my spiritual advisors. This is 4 years ago. And I said, I'm afraid I'm just listening to me now because I'm not. It's not as clear as it used to be. And he said to me, good. That's your dad on the back of a bike. Your dad had his hand on the back of the seat for the whole time. But once he knows you have it, he doesn't need to be there the whole time. He's there if you start to wobble. He's there to pick you up and brush the rocks off your knee. Sometimes it is your voice. But if you're walking the path, that's what you're supposed to do. If you're walking the path, your footprints are close to his. And he just helps guide. You just make sure he's like, nope, you're good. You're good. You're good. Keep going. You're good. You got it. Keep going. You got it. And it's hard to hear the difference between the two. And that's why I rejected it, because it sounded like me. And I'm like, what an egomaniac. Just when in doubt, just do it. Just do it. Unless it's, I'm going to build a rocket ship to the moon. Well, even that, I'm looking at the news of the weekend, that the moon might be that might be your safest bet.
Real estate is cheap.
Boy, oh boy.